The Netflix Punisher series may have just cast its lead baddie, but how long will he survive before dying in an elaborate, graphically violent fashion? Find out on Nerdist News. I don't really know why I ended it that way, but whatever. Marvel fans were psyched when they learned that The Punisher would be joining Season 2 of Daredevil as a previously unannounced bonus hero for the Netflix MCU. They were twice as psyched when he wound up being the best part of that season, roaring through the plot like a bullet-riddled sociopathic hurricane. And then they became thrice psyched as Marvel announced that Frank Castle would get his own season of Sods next year following the culmination of their own Phase 1 with the Defenders. Now, with their showrunner Hannibal scribe Steve Lightfoot in place, they've begun filling out the rest of the show's cast, which means we're starting to get an idea of what the Punisher's first solo story in the MCU will be about. According to a rumor at TV Line, the seventh son himself, Ben Barnes, has joined the cast of The Punisher as the show's primary villain. And in an even stranger twist, he's supposed to be playing Bobby Saint? Question mark? For those of you who remember the 2004 Thomas Jane Punisher flick.
Woo! No.
Bobby Saint was the briefly alive son of main baddie Howard Saint, a crime boss created just for the movie. Howard blames FBI agent Frank Castle for Bobby's death in an FBI sting, has his family killed, and is basically the Punisher's Joe Chill, giving him a reason to pick up the skull t-shirt and obscenely large gun. Anyway, with the Saint crime family appearing exclusively in that Lionsgate-produced film, we kind of have to wonder, would Marvel really bother reaching back to a not particularly well-liked movie that they didn't even produce to borrow a character who dies before Frank Castle even becomes the Punisher? Here's the thing. No. Come on. I mean, okay, so maybe they've arbitrarily decided to take the name of that character and reuse him as the prodigal son of some random crime family, but we're thinking that the Punisher solo series has to go deeper to justify Marvel deciding to do it. I mean, the guy is basically a force of nature, almost like the Hulk is in the Marvel movies, so if they were worried the Hulk couldn't carry his own solo flick without losing some of that magic, we have to imagine they felt the same way about Big Pun. So here's what we are thinking. Season 2 of Daredevil only kind of wrapped up the Punisher's origin story with the death of most of the people responsible for his family's death, or so we thought. Just before he took down his big bad for the season, the blacksmith, the colonel, and wannabe drug czar implied that there was much more to the conspiracy that got Frank's family killed than we'd previously thought. A reference was made to some mysterious they who may have orchestrated the killing, as well as some mysterious going-ons in Afghanistan that presumably led to all of Frank's pals turning on him. This all before he takes a hidden disc labeled Micro and heads off into, well, wherever he winds up in Season 2. The disc was obviously a reference to his comic book partner and eventual villain, Microchip, and that last bit, that's where we're thinking Punisher's solo series might be headed. See, Microchip is basically the Punisher's Q in the comics, loading him up with both weapons and intel. He's often a pretty gross-looking dude, small, stout, and greasy as hell, and he and the Punisher tend to argue about the means by which the anti-hero gets his work done. But with Punisher walking away with his own personal armory at the end of Daredevil Season 2, and his history with Microchip apparently rooted in his secret past, we're thinking we may have a Winter Soldier-esque story on our hands. Our guess is that Microchip was part of the plan to get revenge on Frank Castle, and that his role as Frank's buddy and handler was a wartime thing. The Punisher series could then focus on Frank getting revenge on Micro after his Daredevil adventures, alongside flashbacks to their proto-Punisher antics in the Middle East. This would make a lot more sense for Ben Barnes' role, especially considering that MCU Exchange reported that Marvel was auditioning actors for Micro a month ago. With the studio often opting to modernize and ground their characters, we could definitely see the tech junkie reimagined as a hipper, thinner, less Newman-y kind of guy. And hey, this sort of love-hate relationship is the kind of stuff showrunner Steve Lightfoot excelled in on Hannibal, so it would make a lot of sense that he's the guy Marvel sought out. But what do you guys think? Could Ben Barnes really be playing Bobby Saint? Is he Microchip? What do you want to see in Punisher Season 2? Let's discuss. I don't know why I did that either. And hey, did you guys hear the news? The franchise that reinvented the horror genre is returning at long last. I'm talking about Blair Witch, which is making a much anticipated return to theaters this weekend. From horror maestros Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett, the found footage film takes advantage of new technology like earpiece cameras and drones to tell the story of a man who drags his friends into the Blair Witch's forest in order to find his sister, one of the filmmakers from the original Blair Witch Project. From what early reviews have been buzzing, this one is sure to scare the shit out of you. Don't miss Blair Witch this weekend. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to keep getting all your Nerdist news. So sexy. Let's discuss about Punisher Season 2. Brunette Tinkerbell says, let's discuss. Yeah, I know you're gonna use that one. Wait a minute.